Is abortion murder or a personal right? My opinion and experience. There are many extreme views on this dividing topic, ranging from allowing abortion until the day of birth to forbidding it altogether. Abortion is a topic I've been avoiding with all my strength. Today, I decided to offer my opinion. No, my feelings on the matter. I am a proud father of a young girl. I was also a father to someone I would never meet, as they stopped developing in the first trimester and we had to abort the pregnancy. Coincidentally, I would have also had two brothers or sisters, one older and one younger, who sadly didn't make it into our beautiful world. Mine is a small family, and these lost souls are sorely missed. The topic is personal to me, and while I don't have any medical or religious opinions on the matter, I would still like to express my views. Take it as it is, an opinion. I'm not here to argue with anyone, and I'm glad I don't have to make any sort of medical or legal decision on the matter. I don't like playing God, choosing the fates of living beings. Just a normal pregnancy test. During pregnancy, my girlfriend and I did the usual checkups without going overboard. I strongly feel that if you think about everything that can go wrong with pregnancy, or anything else for that matter, you are inviting it into your life. It also adds to the already stressful event that can negatively influence the mother and her child. One of these regular checkups was the nuchal translucency examination. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. It's an optional ultrasound performed in the first trimester of pregnancy that helps determine your baby's risk of congenital conditions like Down syndrome. I was conflicted before entering the doctor's office, reluctant to test my unborn child and see if it was different. What are we going to find out with this test? I would wonder. The odds of the baby having Down syndrome? Do I really want to know this? If it shows there's a chance the baby might have it, what then? I am a very intuitive and empathic person, much more than my rugged looks would suggest. I felt a connection to this baby, a love of unconditional nature, one I haven't felt before. Not this strong, this intense. On some level, I knew that my girlfriend was carrying my daughter in her beautiful belly. Unfortunately, I also knew how fragile this little life was at this stage of its development. We lost the baby. We had lost our first baby and had to abort the pregnancy. It was at an early stage, at around 10 weeks, which helped, I suppose, but not really. We both felt the loss deeply. We lost something precious, something ours, a hope, a dream, a family that was not to be. I still get teary eyes as I write this, and it's been almost 5 years since we've said goodbye. We were traveling during her first pregnancy, and I still remember how I would lay my head on her belly in the evening and try to communicate with the baby inside. I felt love for this only a couple of weeks old baby. Yes, it may not have technically been a little human, but from our point of view, it was our child. We were going to be a family. I felt the connection for a while, and so did my girlfriend. But then, one day, she lost that sense of connection and became visibly frightened. It turned out her emotions were revealing a dark reality, and upon returning home, our worst fears were confirmed. We had lost the baby, and we felt that deeply personal loss. We went over the procedure, which took days, unfortunately. Then, to get some closure, We had to say our goodbyes to the life we lost, each in our own way. A fetus or a living being, it made no difference. We were saying goodbye to our child, one we would never meet, never hold in our arms. He or she would never get to live, breathe, smile, and love. It was a difficult loss, the most difficult I've endured until that moment. Many may rationalize, as I did, that it was a good thing it happened so soon, better at 12 than at 21 weeks. God forbid once the baby was born. That would have destroyed me. Losing a child is the most unimaginable pain I can think of. I honestly don't know how one survives such an event and moves on. And yet, many have to. They don't have a choice. Life goes on whether we like it or not. We may argue that the fetus was not alive. It was not yet a person. Maybe the connection was all in our heads, more of a dream, wishful thinking than reality. It still felt like there was life, and then there was death. Back to the doctor's office. I wanted to talk to my girlfriend about the potential consequences of this nuchal translucency examination. Why exactly are we taking this test? I would ask. To find out if the baby would be born with Down syndrome. It's just a regular examination. Don't overthink it, she would reply. I overthink everything. So what would we do if the doctor said there were indications that the baby might have Down syndrome? Would we kill it? Don't they deserve to live? What are we talking about here? I asked somewhat provocatively, intending to find out what she felt on the matter. I don't know. Many decide to abort the baby if the chances are overwhelming, she would reply. But doctors can't be sure, right? Nothing is ever definitive. We're guessing and making probability estimates. Yes, but they're really wrong from what I've read. They could be, though. We could be killing a perfectly healthy baby on some words from a doctor. Are we really discussing this option? Don't think that far ahead. If the test shows a high inclination, we will do additional tests and take it from there. Let's take it one step at a time. She pulled me back into the present, as she often must. Would we truly terminate this pregnancy if something like Down syndrome would be probable? I repeated my question because it lay heavy on my heart. I honestly don't know, was her answer, and I believed her. With pregnancy, there are a few deep-seated fears. Will the baby be okay? Will the mother be alright? Will the baby be healthy, mentally and physically, and well developed? All are equally scary. We may pretend that we are above such thinking, but the fact is that no one wants to have a child with a developmental defect. One that would prevent the child from eventually forming a normal life and growing up. It would also prevent the parents from ever being free from caring for someone with intense needs. I get it. I do. I have feared this my whole life. But when deciding on my unborn baby's life, I was terrified of having to make such a call. I don't know that I could. The small miracle growing within. As this is a post on abortion, not the joys of parenthood, I will mention only one additional moment and then let it be. The moment you see an image of your child moving within the womb and hear the baby's heartbeat for the first time. It usually happens on that 10 to 12 weeks examination. The doctor plays around with their ultrasound, and you get to see and hear your baby. After that moment, you know you are a parent. The fetus is starting to form nicely. You can distinguish the baby's heartbeat from its mother's, and the connection deepens. We created a life, you think, and can't help but smile. I hope. Something so natural, yet so incredibly magical. You are also past the point when most pregnancies spontaneously terminate for whatever reason, and are now more at ease about telling everyone about the pregnancy. Not long after that, you can feel movement within the womb as the baby kicks and turns. After a few weeks, you can hear both heart's beat in synchronicity as you lay your head on the mother's belly, my favorite pastime during our pregnancy. I diligently performed my evening duty, put lotion on my girlfriend's belly to prevent stretch marks, and listened to their heartbeats. Music to my ears. The sound of life itself. The law of the land. After 12 weeks, there can be no doubt. We are dealing with a living human being, a baby, albeit a tiny one. Where I come from, Europe, this is also the point of no return regarding voluntary abortion. If you desire to terminate the pregnancy after 12 weeks, you have to present your arguments to a special medical commission. I agree with this law. It makes sense, sets a norm, and allows for exemptions should the need arise. The heart part. I've painted the picture of where I'm coming from, and now for the heart part. I know extreme voices dominate the public space. The ones who are A, okay with aborting a baby at any point before birth, and B, are never alright with the idea of abortion, sanctity of life, and whatnot. I disagree with both extremes, and I assume most of us do. They may be the loudest voices, but they do not represent the majority. If I had to choose though, and those were the only options available, I would stand firmly on the side of the protectors of life. In a black and white world, I choose life. Terminating pregnancy and aborting a perfectly healthy baby at 6 or 8 months is nothing short of murder. A murder of the most innocent being imaginable. One who is yet to take its first breath of fresh air. It is alive. It is a human being. If you artificially initiate a pregnancy a few weeks, even months ahead of schedule, that baby has a good chance of survival in a controlled environment. A few weeks later, it will have a name and hopefully a loving family. Even with the mother's health being questioned in extreme cases, how do you decide which life to save and which to terminate? I can't speak for any of you, but if my life was being debated against my baby's life, I would say goodbye in the blink of an eye. The younger life should survive. I have had a few good decades on this beautiful planet, and I'm grateful for them all. The future belongs to our children. There is no doubt in my heart or my mind on this subject. Once you feel that life growing inside the womb, see it developing, moving around, and hearing the heartbeat, there can be no debate. That baby is alive, and it deserves a chance at experiencing life. Deny that chance is no different than killing it in a few weeks later, as it has exited the womb and entered the outside world. The weeks between, I suppose, are the ones we could discuss, but I'd rather not. pending some extenuating circumstances, but they would have to be truly impactful. I would have a problem with such a termination, philosophical and emotional. If it were my child's life you were trying to extinguish, you would have a fight on your hands. I would never dream of telling people how to live their lives, though. A provocative and horrifying scenario for consideration. If you or your partner were pregnant and somebody attacked and with a knife ended the life within, would they be a murderer, or would it be like cutting off a finger for you? Where would you draw the line? How old would that baby have to be? How far along would the mother have to be? What difference does it make who does the killing? I offer one more thought on the sensitive topic. The advocates for my baby, my body, my choice, even when that involves a baby, would often supply opinions from doctors or scientists and bang on about definitions and stages of development. That's all well and fine. Here's my question for them, rhetorical. What happens if doctors from one hospital, country, specialization, have one opinion or stance, and doctors from another have a different one? What happens when one country has laws allowing abortion until 12 weeks, and another has it at 24 weeks? What if one scientist says consciousness inhabits the body at 3 months, another at 6 months, and the third at 9 months? What happens when their definition conflicts with your feelings, as the pregnant mother, for example? Who is right? Who do you believe? Could they be wrong? Now let's talk to the other side of the argument. All life is sacred. I don't look at this topic from a religious point of view. With religion, there can be no rationing. It is as the scripture, whichever one you pledge to, is deemed. End of debate. I don't find anything sacred, as I generally deny the notion of sacred from a religious point of view. Having said that, I would deem babies the closest thing to sacred, as they are pure, perfect, innocent, blank papers of infinite potential. Thought, outside influences, and beliefs haven't ruined them yet. People do all sorts of things to each other, some truly horrifying. I despise violence toward the weaker among us, the feeble, the unwell, the old, but especially toward children. Seeing violence or sexual predatory behavior aimed at children awakens the wrath of a vengeful Old Testament God within me. No, not all life is sacred. If you choose to harm children, for example, you have forfeited the right to live. I see it as cutting out cancer from society, and I make no apologies for my stance. Children are off limits. Does aborting a child after 6 months of pregnancy count if the child is healthy and okay in every way? In my mind, it does. This little innocent baby is no fetus, an inanimate object, or a mindless blob of meat. It is a small person in particular need of our love and support. The most fragile soul, only looking to be loved and accepted. Suppose we return to my horrible example for somewhere above. If someone were to have stabbed my child's mother while she was pregnant after, arbitrary, 6 months, and murdered the life within her, I would call that murder. It would have been no different from murdering a child who has just been born or has lived for a few months. Murder is murder, regardless of who is doing the killing. The point of no return. There is a time for choosing not to become a parent. There is a time for using protection. There is a time to take immediate corrective measures, as accidents do happen when you're having fun. There is a time for terminating a pregnancy if the circumstances deem it necessary. There is a time for these conversations and choices, but it is not after a few months when a new life is thriving within your body. It is not after that baby has a heartbeat. It is not right before giving birth. Then it is not just your body, your choice anymore. You are now responsible for a new life, a new person, even though you have yet to meet them. A time for changing your mind has passed. You are here now and must find a way to deal with the new situation. Accept your responsibility and do the best you can. I've read some level-headed takes on this topic, but they were few and far in between. I'm sure the reason lies not in most people disagreeing on the matter, but that the extreme opinions, screams and preaching are louder and get more attention. When I talk to people, we all generally agree there must be a medical norm, an agreement, and then some room for exceptions. Nothing comes close to the danger of mindless groupthink. Especially when a person is not allowed to think with their own head for religious reasons or social politics. It makes no difference. Blind obedience to any cause or group should definitely be obliterated from the face of this planet. It has caused immeasurable harm to millions of lives. We are not brainless drones, tools, and eventually weapons for the manipulators to use as they please. We are people with feelings, thoughts, beliefs, and a rational mind. Let us use that and form a better world going forward, if not for ourselves, then for our children. I hope you never have to debate terminating the life of your unborn child. And if you do, may you be wise, brave, and strong. A life is at stake. A life that cannot fend for itself. It relies on you for that. Do not disappoint it. Thank you.